Hey guys, and welcome back to Nihon de Eigo. If you have made it this far into the module, that means you have checked all the necessary boxes required on getting started with teaching English in Japan. So now let's dive into the two main roles that a foreigner can hold as an English teacher. First on the list, we have the assistant language teacher, also known as the ALT. Now, as said in the previous video, an ALT is an instructor who works as a dispatch worker in the Japanese public school system or alongside the Board of Education. Now, the visa that this individual will enter Japan on is called the instructor visa, and it starts on the day they arrive in Japan and usually expires the same date of the following year. So it's a 1-year visa within the first year of entering Japan. However, when you go to renew this visa, you can get up to 3 or 5 years. We'll leave that for the immigration part of this module. Now let's get into the responsibilities of an ALT. Now, the responsibilities of an ALT will differ based on their school, their English teacher, but generally it is to support the Japanese teacher of English, the Eigo Tanto or the homeroom teacher, with the preparation and execution of English lessons or extracurricular activities. Now, an ALT is expected to execute module behavior and treat everyone fairly and equally. So now let's get into the work contract details of an assistant language teacher. The contract runs from April to March of the following year, and that is because the Japanese school system begins in April and ends in March. However, if you do enter Japan, say for instance in the summer or in winter, or maybe even in January, your contract will still end on March of that following year. The contracts are non-renewable. This means that you get a new contract issued to you every single year if it is decided that the company wishes to re-employ you for that next year. And this is usually dependent on the satisfaction that the school has with the ALT's performance and the BOE. Next, we have the regular work hours. So the work hours are Monday to Friday at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Generally speaking, an ALT will usually leave work at about 4:15 to 4:30 on Mondays to Fridays. This can change. However, your contracted hours are up until 5. ALTs also may be required to work on special occasions such as school events or summer camp. And a compensatory day off is usually granted for these occasions because there's absolutely no overtime with the English teaching contract as an ALT. Next, we have the classroom sizes. So because the ALT works in the public system, the classroom size will differ based on the school. So you may have anywhere between 30 to 45 students. And you will be required to teach up to 30 classes per week. That means you're teaching 6 classes per day if necessary or if contracted. The average monthly salary range that an ALT can expect to get is between 200,000 to 240,000. And this is dependent on the type of contract that they have with the company and the company that they are employed to. So now some companies do pay on the lower end. I have seen contracts with 190 something being the base monthly salary. However, the average salary should range from anywhere between 200,000 to 240,000. Full or partial payments for vacation time. So in the 6 to 8 weeks you get for summer vacation, depending on your company, you may get full compensation or you may get partial compensation. Some companies do not offer any payments at all or any compensation at all during summer vacation. So this is something that you also want to ask about in your interviews. Also, spring holidays, you get 2 weeks off at the end of March before the start of the new year. The end of March, usually into the first couple of days of April. And you will get 2 weeks off vacation. These 2 weeks are unpaid. So the spring holidays are prorated, which means that you only get paid for the time you show up to work, and then you don't get paid for the 2 weeks that you've had off. However, in summer, you may or may not get paid, depending on your company, for the full summer vacation. Wakata? E. So now let's get down to the English language teacher or the foreign instructor. These individuals are working in Japan on what is called a humanities visa. This visa allows them to work with students of all ages and those within private-owned and tertiary institutions. Eikaiwas are conversational English schools, and they're located all across Japan but are not directly associated with the Japanese government, even though they do follow the MEX guidelines for teaching English. Now, the sizes of an eikaiwa, or the classroom sizes. Eikaiwas will vary in size from large companies to small independent schools. And unlike the ALT's classroom, Eikaiwa's classes usually entail one-on-one teaching to groups of dozens. These individuals are going to be aged anywhere between 9 months old to adult years, and adult years can go up to 80 years old, depending on their capabilities. Now, the lesson types at Eikaiwas are student and game-centered, which means that the lesson plans are structured for students to learn English in a fun and exciting way. Now over to the work contract details of an ALT or FI. Just like the ALT, the work contract for an ALT or FI will last between April and March of the following year. Contracts are also non-renewable, and a new contract is issued each year. As for the work hours, it's a little bit different than the ALT, as eikaiwas are usually closed on a Monday. So persons are expected to be available on one day of the weekend, which is either Saturday or Sunday, and then 4 days in the week, which is usually Tuesdays to Fridays. The hours for work usually begin later than 8, which is between 10 and 11 to 7 and 8 p.m. Vacations, on the other hand, are 0 to 2 weeks worth of holiday vacations. So whether it's summer, Christmas, or spring, plus you also get the national holidays, which are a given. However, for some companies, in the summer, you may not get any summer vacation at all, and you may be required to work. So if you do want to take a summer vacation in the summer, you may have to apply for paid vacation leave. Now, the average monthly compensation range for an eikaiwa employee is between 230,000 to over 300,000. Of course, this is dependent on your experience as a teacher in the actual classroom, your degree and qualifications, whether you have a degree in education, a master's in education, or a teaching license. This will affect how much it is that you are offered when signing your contract. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that even though you do not need a teaching degree as an ALT or as a foreign language instructor or foreign language teacher to teach English in Japan, it does help your case to be qualified if you're seeking to get more out of your employment. Last but not least, you can be rest assured that as an employee in Japan, whether it is as an English language teacher, foreign instructor, ALT, or any other occupation that you choose to venture in once you get to Japan, you will benefit from employee insurance and health insurance. Now, that is all for the different types of English teaching jobs in Japan, and we will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.